A recent Philadelphia newspaper article would have you thinking Governor Tom Wolf is relaxing his opposition to voter ID. But the governor's office is saying not so fast. As political editor John Delano reports, it may be a bit more complicated.
The headline in Wednesday's Philadelphia Inquirer, Wolf now open to voter ID changes, took the political world by surprise.
You know those emojis you have on your cell phone that you can text, and the one where the head is like exploding? That was my first thought. Like my head exploded.
Representative Seth Grove, a Republican, wrote the election bill Governor Wolf just vetoed. He says Wolf never reached out to Republican leaders to compromise on voter ID requirements.
And it is very, very frustrating for me knowing that we could have had a better election process for our voters and for our counties to administer. And it completely missed because the governor's office and the governor refused to have a conversation.
In a statement on Wednesday, the governor's press secretary said, quote, the governor would be willing to discuss the inclusion of identification requirements as long as the forms of ID accepted are expansive and easy to acquire, and there is an affidavit backstop. Grove says his bill, just reintroduced, meets those terms, requiring ID but not a photo ID. A new voter registration card from your election bureau would suffice. And if you didn't have those,
you can just sign an affidavit, which they do in Delaware and a couple other states as a form of ID.
Wolf's statement suggested that he didn't trust Republicans to make it easier to vote. And he and other Democrats said voter ID must be considered in the context of the whole bill.
We need to see all the component parts. And once we do and see how it fits within the accessibility security matrix, only then can we really make a judgment.
Is election compromise possible?
He opened a window, right? By coming out and saying, I don't necessarily have an issue with voter ID anymore. The issue is he needs to pick up the phone. Like, you need to come have a conversation.
We all need to be engaged in this in order to get it right.
No word from the governor that he intends to make the first move. John Delano, KDKA News.